I have had quite a few people comment to me, ask me if I was going to do a scouting report on Chase Brown. And maybe that's because he went to school in Illinois, association with the Bears, being in the same state, maybe a Bears fan. I don't know what the hell it is, but had a lot of people asking me to do a scouting report on Chase Brown, the running back from Illinois. Here you freaking go. And maybe be careful what you wish for, because perhaps you're coming to me based off of my history, seeking, I'm certainly not perfect at this by any stretch of the imagination. You're seeking a little bit of a validation for how you're thinking of him and viewing him as a prospect. And you may be a little disappointed. Because as many people as I had, like referencing him or talking about him, asking me about him, I transparently thought that I was going to be a little bit higher on him than a prospect than I ultimately was. I could see some of the appeal, but I'm not nearly as high as him, perhaps, as some others would be. And I'm going to explain why in this video. Here's what I do like to start off with, though, with Chase Brown's game. He does have the quickness to hit the hole quickly, which you like a guy that can be decisive and then be able to attack what he sees and do it quickly, and he can. You also have in Chase Brown a guy with very good top-end speed. He can be a home run threat at the NFL level, just like he was at the college level. And, you know, my last scouting report I did was on Devon A-Chain. Brown doesn't have that kind of speed, but he does have enough speed to be a home run threat. And it's not the be-all, end-all if you don't have home run speed as a running back in the NFL. It really isn't. But it sure is nice to have it. Chase Brown has quickness. He has top-end speed that can make him a home run threat, so that's good. Talking about Chase Brown's work in the passing game, that's something that stood out to me and I did like about him quite a bit as a prospect, especially when you're talking about late day 2, day 3 running backs. Like, what can they do? He's got solid hands as a receiver. He's got a good understanding of pass blocking assignments and responsibilities. Like, pretty solid game in terms of a running back and his pass catching. In terms of as a runner, he can make subtle cuts in the hole. So, you know, not every cut is going to be a spectacular Madden type of big jump cut. You know, the ability to, you know, plant and cut quickly, cut in line. He does that very well. He's just got a nice spin move at the line of scrimmage to be able to get free of the line. So he's the type of guy that if the edge defenders collapse too much down the line, he can spin out of that and get around the edge, and he could break down the defense, and he could hit some big plays doing that. I would certainly say that there's a chance he could do that a couple of times at the NFL level. He also shows the vision to be able to see where the blocking is developing, to be able to see where the hole is, where it is formed, and then is able to hit it. He allows his blocking generally to set up in front of him as well. That's a good combination for a running back, right? Is you have the patience to allow your blocking to set up. You have good vision to be able to see what is developing, and then you can react quickly and get to what you see. Chase Brown has all of those fundamentals. So that's why I'm not sitting here saying that he's just going to be a bust and he's not going to matter in the NFL. What I am going to say, though, is some of his weaknesses, you know, strike me as a little bit of a concern, and here's what I mean. He really lacks wiggle and creativity as an open field runner. Quickness and speed is nice, but damn, is his game really straight line. If you go back and watch him, especially in 2022 at Illinois, his game is really straight line. With that kind of combo of quickness and speed, you would expect more make you miss in the open field, more ability to piece together creative runs like change of direction, change of pace runs. And he's really kind of one speed straight line, and that's about it. It really was a struggle for him. So what you think about in terms of quickness and speed and how that can manifest as a running back at the NFL level doesn't necessarily apply to Chase Brown's game in that respect. Also, talking about him as a between the tackles runner, he really lacks pop and power between the tackles. And you look at some running backs, one thing you like to see is when they get tackled in the heart of the line of scrimmage, if you will, up the middle, do they get extra yards? Is there contact at 1 yard, but then they fall forward and get 3 or 4 out of it? Or do they get hit at 2 yards and that's all they get? And I see quite a bit of that out of Chase Brown in his game because he's not a huge back. He's not an incredibly strong back. So lack of agility and make you miss in the open field combined with lack of power running up the middle starts to get a little concerning, especially when you layer on some fumble concerns, some ball security concerns for Chase Brown in 2022. You know, it's one thing to say, well, fumbles will get you in a coach's doghouse really quickly. They will, right? But there's also like a ratio of how much can this dude bring to the table. Maybe every once in a while you live with a fumble. You know, when you look at Chase Brown, I wonder, like, could those fumbles be more impactful for him than maybe some other prospects in this draft? He also has some moments where he's a bit quick to cut against the grain, especially, you know, when you're talking about before he gets to the second level. And he just isn't that type of dynamic back that make you miss, that stop on a dime type of back. He's just not. Also, as a pass catcher, I talked about, you know, he has a good feel and understanding for pass protection, for assignments, responsibilities, being able to pick up the blitz. He's got really soft hands. He's got natural hands. He's a natural pass catcher. His route tree is pretty limited, though. He's wasn't used much, at least in Illinois, much in the slot. He wasn't lined up a ton outside. You can maybe see that you do that a little bit more at the NFL level, but again, you know, that lack of agility in the open field, the lack of change of direction, change of pace to his game could impact some of that. So I look at him, and I think of the NFL comparison I put down for him is DeAndre Swift. I thought DeAndre Swift was a better prospect coming out of Georgia, blah, blah, blah. But there are certainly some similarities here. But, you know, as I was watching Chase Brown, like I said, I thought I was going to be more hyped up on him than I was. And you would usually say, well, a lot of your followers are Bears fans, so you usually clown on them and you say whatever they think, you'll think the opposite. Yes, that's true, and it served me very well over the years. However, when it comes to the running back position, if there is any fan base in the fucking universe that knows one position for one team, for one sport, better than Bears fans in the running back position, you let me know. Bears fans know running backs and middle linebackers. You know, shit else about shit else in a lot of cases. But those two positions, they damn good and well know. They've seen enough great players at those positions over the years. They see one. However, in this case, I see a fifth-round talent.
I see kind of an early to mid day 3 talent. I do not see a dynamic back and manifesting that way in the NFL. I do not see a huge difference maker. I see a guy that may be able to come in as a role player, but much more of a complementary role player that almost feels more like a running back 3 type. If he had more make-you-miss ability, or he was more physical as a runner, I feel a little bit better about his chances of making a real impact at the NFL level. And he could potentially in the right situation. I'm not saying he can't. But I look at other running backs in this class, and I just think they bring a little bit more to the table than Chase Brown.